Welcome to another episode of the Frontend Coffee Break. This is episode 37. Oh my. I don't know if you see what I'm drinking, but I cannot tell you. Could be coffee,
No.
could be something else.
It could be coffee. It could be something else. Oh, the mystery.
Chucho, how are you?
Thanks. All good, guys. I am drinking my decaf as always. I mean, right now I'm down to only one regular coffee a day, and then the rest decaf just to try to be more relaxed around the day. But I'm enjoying it, just freshly made, and happy and excited to see where we go in this episode. I mean, I go with decaf because the times that I've been drinking regular coffee all the time, at the end, I end up super excited, and that's not good at the end of the day.
But you
And
should
so
be
it's something that I
excited to be here
No.
with us, with the
Oh,
listeners,
yes.
to discuss about how old are we and how long have we been doing this thing, coloring and painting. So
coloring and painting.
yeah, that's the topic for today. Today we want to share with you our old life hard learned lessons in front-end development that if you're more a junior or not, might be useful to you or your teams or whatever in your career or at now. So it's all good. Hopefully you can take something from this. So Chucho, how long have you been coloring and painting?
Coloring,
Haha.
well, I think it's been the first projects that I started working with a little bit of coloring and painting. I started with learning college HTML3 and HTML4
No,
was
get out
was
of
a
here.
thing.
HTML3? No.
Well, maybe it's. I remember reading about HTML3 and having a book, of course, about HTML4 and things. Maybe I didn't work with HTML3.
Wow.
It was directly HTML4, but it was there back then. And I remember doing the first website that I did for. I was working for the college itself, and they were doing themes and such. So we added all the styling, of course, through font color, the properties that you had in back then. So that I would say that's how long I've been putting colors.
Whoa.
But technically, as a front-end developer, it's only been 10 years, although I've been doing front-end for over 18, let's say.
No, but I want to believe that even
And-
if when you were doing HTML3.4, it's still front-end. It's still UI. It's
Yes.
still what's being seen by the user. So yeah, a long time.
It was, I'm that old.
No.
But fortunately, I started working on something that I loved. I mean, I loved what I was doing. I knew that web development was something that I was interested in, and I went for that. And I've learned a lot of lessons throughout the years. Some of them I wish I had known at the beginning. But how about you, Ricard? How long have you been working painting
That's a
pixels?
question you don't ask a gentleman. You don't ask about their age. No, but so
the OS they're using.
exactly the OS or the space versus tabs. You don't ask for that unless you want to fight. Yeah, I think professionally I started 2006. I think it was professionally working as a full-time web developer. And I never looked back. Never got a break, and yeah, since now. So yeah, it's all good.
Well, that's 18 years, and that's exactly when I started. When I came to Barcelona and started working in web development as well.
oh wow! So then we're connected.
We are connected regarding the time. I just had the previous 6 years working a little bit in other stuff, odd stuff. Some of them web, some of them not web. But web developer, as I would only call me or say that I started doing web development per se since 2006 as well.
So brothers from another mama. Yes. All right. So first lesson. What would that be, Chucho?
Okay. One of the first lessons that I learned is that whether you are a front-end developer or a front-end lead or whatever, especially this applies a little bit more to the front-end leading part, but even as developer, is that you cannot please everyone. When you're working in any project, you're working most likely with many people, and they all want different things from you. They want you to do one thing or the other, and you will never be able to please everyone, and that's fine. But this applies a little bit more on the leadership style. When you're a front-end leader, you're a leader of whatever. You will not able to be even if you want to, you won't be able to please everyone, and that's okay because your job is not to please everyone. Your job is to get things done. Sometimes, of course, you get things done by making people more productive, making people, helping them be happier, helping them be better. But there's always going to be someone that is not going to like what you decide. Like, for example, let's say it's SaaS or less, and you say, well, I want to use less. And there's one person that's going to say, that's the wrong choice. And that's fine. And it's hard. It took me some time to get into terms with this because I felt bad. I felt that I was disappointing people, and that's horrible. That's for me, that was a horrible feeling. But that's the reality, and this is something that we need to learn how to handle.
I agree.
How do you?
Yeah. I mean, also like maybe even for clients, right? Because sometimes you might have user stories or requirements that are maybe in conflict with another stakeholder requirement, and then they ask you, okay, what would you do? How would you approach it? And then there's no single bullet for everything. So it's like maybe what you do might not be in line with the stakeholder that cares about performance because they want to add, I don't know, something else that really impacts performance. Or the other way around, right? The performance guys will say, hey, please add less components. But then the marketing people will say, but I need more carousels. So it's like, how do you deal with... Yeah. So how do you deal with that? That's not easy. I'm with you. Sometimes you just got to move forward, give your opinion, and then just move forward. Yeah.
Okay, so that would be our first lesson. I'm writing something down that I just remembered. What would your next lesson, Ricardo?
Next lesson, while you write, being a leader, delegating. I think we touched a little bit on leadership on episode 27, so let's not overlap too much, but delegating, even if you're not a front-end lead, sometimes it's hard to trust people, right? Even non-developers, it's like, do I hand off these tasks to someone else? Will they deliver? Will they do it on my standards, highest standards? And it's hard letting go of some of the tasks that you would like to do yourself. And delegating is very powerful. Like, it doesn't mean that you don't have to do the work. It's not like, okay, I'm going to go PlayStation now. But it's like empowering them to do different things, helping them grow and learn. So delegating is, it's not easy. Some people don't know how to do it, but you got to try.
And in this case, I've seen you, and throughout your life, when you delegate, you're going to get both good and bad experiences. I've had experiences in which, before going on vacation, I delegate a couple of tasks to someone, and when I come back, nothing has been done. And that's a horrible feeling. But then again, you need to ask yourself, when I delegated, did they have all the tools that they needed in order to get the task done? Did they have the knowledge to do it? I mean, you just don't delegate to make someone do something else. You need to know who you're delegating to. You need to know the limitations or the abilities, or if this is something that that person can do. I mean, if you delegate, this is just going to be a wild metaphor, but if you delegate to fly to a fish, it's like, yeah, I'm a bird, I'm flying. You need to fly to the nest. It's your job now. It's like, it's a fish. They're not going to fly to the nest. So it is important to know how to delegate, to learn how to delegate. It's important to know how to trust people, but it's also important to know that they have everything they need in order to work.
Yeah, it's empowering. I remember, I think, at the beginning of my career here at Centric, there was like the tech lead at the project. He was leaving for vacation the next day, and he told me, oh, there's a weird edge case in the front-end build. Can you fix it while I'm gone? And I was like, are you crazy? It's like my first day. And then I could fix it, right? And he was back and he said, oh, great job finding the obscure configuration where it needed to happen. So, and that was very empowering, saying, oh man, I did it without the support of the lead, and I delivered. So please delegate.
Yes. And it's easier. Well, with practice, it's easier and makes your life easier. Okay, so next lesson that I've learned, and I wish that I learned while developing as a developer, is that it is better to have something that is unfinished than to have nothing that is perfect. You know, this is something that there's a term, scope creep, and other different terms. I remember that the first task, when I was starting developing and I had my first tasks, I remember, oh, this has to be perfect. Oh, this thing is not as it should be. Oh, no, I can still do it better. Oh, this is not the best type of value that it can be used. Oh, how can I optimize? And you keep on adding and adding and adding and working on it, and you never finish. And you have sprints, you have 2-week limits, and it's not even 2 weeks because it's a little bit less of development time that you usually have. And if you try to have it perfect, it is most likely that you won't. The devil is on the details. I remember not delivering a lot of work and feeling terrible about it because I didn't want to deliver it because it was not perfect. I don't know if you've been in this situation as well. I mean, you're a perfectionist, so I think that you
what okay, maybe, but I know that perfection does not exist. It's fine to strive for it, to meet the highest standards, but certainly doesn't exist. I think this also applies to clients, right? Because sometimes they want a feature user story, and then you say, okay, maybe we can deliver, I don't know, 70% of it on this time frame. Let's leave something else for later. And they also need to be able to say yes, okay, or not. I need to spend triple the time to maybe not deliver it in time. So it's hard for everybody. And in our case as developers, I think we need to, how is it called in quality assurance? Definition of done, right? Where you say, okay, we have the main core functionality, and then surely there are defects, but maybe they're minor defects, they're trivial defects. So it doesn't matter, it doesn't impact critical business. We can deliver. It's not finished, it's not perfect. We can improve on it, agile and all those things that we do. So definitely, I agree with you. It doesn't have to be perfect, especially software development.
And if you work in precisely in Scrum or some agile way, it's like you deliver slowly features. It's like, oh, we could do this, we could do that. It's like, stop, we deliver this, and then the next sprint we can change it or we can add. But don't try to make it perfect. Try to make it.
That's something I struggle a lot with. At least the current client, they always want everything, and everything has to be configurable, and everything has to be very big on the first go, and they don't really understand the whole Scrum and Agile, where you have an MVP and then you deliver it and then you iterate in the next sprints. They just don't understand it very much, and they want everything in one go, and they want everything configurable, and they don't take decisions because I don't know how I want it, so everything needs to be an option on an AM. It's like, please. Yeah.
Remember, you can't please everyone.
Yep. Nice.
Next one, Ricardo.
Next one, for everybody, but especially front-end leads, to see the big picture. Yeah, it's a very, very fancy word, very fancy sentence, seeing the big picture. But it's true. I mean, sometimes you get a requirement, right? And then you just do it. Mm-hmm. But if you say, okay, how is this requirement going to be used? Do we have similar requirements? Do we need to create some sort of pattern template to be reused, something else? Like, if we talk about development, purely development, it's like, just see if this is part of a bigger group. If you have a design system, even if the designers don't send you a style guide or a style system, maybe you say, oh, this is being repeated everywhere. Can I do the ROI? Don't repeat yourself. And then also as leads, again, see the whole application or the whole solution as a one, and not just, okay, let's deliver this, and then when you put everything together in a website, it looks like crap, or it doesn't work, it's not performant. Try to, have an overview, a higher view than the regular junior developer. But I don't know if I'm explaining correctly, but am I explaining myself?
Yes. Sometimes, especially as you say, when you work as a lead, one thing that you need to understand is that suddenly your responsibilities change, they shift a bit, and you need to be able to see the global picture. You need to understand that some of the decisions that you take are decisions that need to take into account other teams maybe, or other areas of, or whatever, and future things or that. This is something that you get by experience. This is something that you will get through time. It's hard sometimes to get it, but you get to know the bigger picture.
Yeah, I think it's like
slowly.
caring, right? So when you get a requirement, just ask yourself, right? Maybe just not do it without your eyes closed, just focusing very much, okay, I need to do this component. Let me just do the code and deliver it, pull request, we're done. But rather see, okay, can this be reused? Can we do it more scalable? Can we do it in a way that maybe my colleague, when he does his requirement, his change request, can make use of my code? So don't be like there's a horse with the things in the eyes, but have openness horizontally maybe. So Chucho, next.
Well, one that I've learned as a lead, and I try to apply always as much as possible, especially when working with young, less experienced developers, because you can be a lead of even more experienced people than you. You're not a lead just because you're the best. No, you're the lead because you're the one that's responsible to do certain things, to lead the team forward, and so. But when I work with more junior profiles, one of the things that I try to do is invest as much time as possible at the beginning of the project in whatever need they have, because I know that this will have a big payoff. I remember that usually when they start working with you, they say, "Oh, I didn't ask you because I didn't want to bother you. I saw that you were occupied. Oh, I didn't come to you because I didn't want to waste your time. Oh, I didn't." And it's like, no, I tell them, and I insist, and I remind them, if you have a question, please, and you've tried to solve it. I always say, give it a couple of hours, try to solve it. If you can't solve it, come to me. I mean, I don't say, if you have a problem, come to me immediately. No. First, try to solve it yourself, but do not take that much time. Sometimes, depending on the task that I see, it's like, okay, this might take 4 hours, it might take 6 hours, this might take just a couple of hours. I can advise them, but I usually tell them, bother me, and I tell this, bother me because I don't want you to bother me later on in the future. It's like, bother me right now, all you need, because I want to invest in you so that you don't need to bother me later. And it works. It's a strategy that I've seen that it works, and I'm very happy with it. I begin with the projects. Yes, it's hard sometimes because you need to do a lot of stuff, but it's worth the while investing on other developers to empower them, to help them grow, to mentor them, because in the end, it has a huge payoff. Your team is going to be much better, and you'll have less work to do.
I like very much what you said about, please spend some time yourself trying to figure out the solution or the problem, and then come to me. And I am still amazed that nowadays I sometimes come across people that don't do that, that maybe they spend 8 hours, and then when you ask for an update or on the stand-up, they say, yeah, I don't know, I cannot get it done, I don't know how to continue. And I'm like, but you spent 8 hours in front of a screen without knowing what to do. Just that for me is I don't understand. So I like your approach of saying, yeah, please spend 1-2 hours research online, Stack Overflow, Copilot, whatever it is. Try it, make the effort. If you're stuck after 2 hours, please raise your hand and I come to you and we do it together. You are unblocked, you learn, and then you fly solo in the future, right?
Yeah, and I try to do this. Is like, especially if I know the tasks. Usually when you're working with as a lead, you know about all the tasks. You have a global view of the project. You know the tasks, and you can advise like, well, that should take you this long. So do not take more than this amount of hours, and then do this. And you can advise them on how much time, because it's also important to help them organize their time. But it is totally worth it. It's totally worth investing in this in trying to make people more independent, to empower them completely. So, next on the list.
Next on my list, maybe controversial, learn how to say no.
No.
You see, you're right. You already know.
No.
At every level, I think for juniors, for colleagues, for especially clients, right? I truly believe that we get paid to also say no. When somebody comes to you and says, hey, Chucho, I have this idea for the website, this new component, and it's insane. It doesn't make sense, or it's going to break all the functionality, or it's not usable, whatever it is. And they're super pumped and they want to pitch it to you. You have to implement it. I'm paying you to do it. You have an obligation to say, this is not a great idea, but let's think together how to make it better, right? And rather than say yes to everything, I will do it, and then you end up with a crappy product, crappy solution, you're paid to challenge the ideas, right? What do you think?
This, again, applies to many things that we've talked. You cannot please everyone, and it's fine to say no. It is very important to say no, because in the end, the one that's going to suffer, it's going to be you. I've been in so many times that I've said yes to something that I should have said no, just because I wanted to please that person, just because I thought, oh, this is important for me, and I've regretted it every time. It is one of the most powerful words that you can learn everywhere. Even if they say, hey, I need you to do this for me, and you know that it's not your job, or that it's something that it's going to go against your personal interest, like you have a birthday party and they say, oh, yeah, I need you to stay here. It's like, no, I can't stay here. And sometimes it's at so many levels than the saying no.
True, like project or personal, whatever it is. But I think it's fine. And of course, now don't go running to your project manager and say no to everything. But when you say no, you can offer a solution, an alternative, a constructive feedback, saying, hey, no, but let's do it the other way. Or no, but maybe we can go that other route. It's just not saying no, but finding common ground. And I mean, in the end, you just want to do things better, like not perfect,
Yes.
but you want to improve things. So saying no, I think it shows that you care.
No, it is, and you care about yourself. You care about the things being done correctly, and it took me years. I mean, I still say yes to things that I should say no. I still nowadays do it, and although I know that I should say no, I still do it. So this is something that it's ongoing, at least for me, and I'm sure that a lot of people is going to be similar. That they say, "Oh, I still say it's like it's fine. Just continue trying to do your best." You're right.
Agreed. Next one.
The next one would be, and this is something that I think it's very important. It's a lesson that I learned regarding communication is very important when you're working with more people, especially proactive communication. It is something that you need to learn, that don't be the kind of person that are just sitting there and waiting for things to happen. You know, you're done with your task. Do not sit there and wait for someone to give you a task. Say, hey, I've finished the task. What can I do next? The same thing applies to many other things. If you see a problem, don't wait for the problem to disappear or for someone else to fight it. Say, hey, I found this problem. If you made a mistake, say, hey, I made a mistake. I think it's better to communicate. And finally, and one thing that I try to apply always is, especially nowadays, we have a lot of meetings that are online. What does this mean? Before, you were moving maybe from office to office. People were expecting them to be like 5 minutes late and such because they were moving. But right now, you're just a click away for the next meeting. And still people are late. And sometimes they are late because they're in a meeting that they know they're not going to, it's not going to end on time. They're late because whatever reason. If you know you're going to be late with enough time, and I think that we can all know if 5 minutes before the meeting ends, we can know if it's going to end on time or not. Please be proactive and communicate this. Hey, I'm still in the meeting. I don't see that it's going to end in the next 5 minutes. And then you have to try to either make a compromise and say, I can meet up at this time, wait for me this amount, but try to be realistic. Don't say, I'll be a couple of minutes. Like, no, you're going to be 10 minutes late. Don't say a couple. But this is one thing that I've learned and that I try to do and that I appreciate when people do. It's respecting other people's times. It's communicate proactively things, but communicate also these kind of things about if you're going to be late, communicate proactively. Proactive communication is key.
And it's not easy. I mean, especially after the whole pandemic, we are more remote than ever. And writing is hard. I think like people in Slack or Teams or whatever it is, writing good messages that are not like spell checkings. And I still see people writing with like grammar errors, and I'm like, just right click and you fix the typo and everything's fine and people will enjoy it more. I mean, because if I have to spend more time reading and making the effort, it's complicated. So it's not easy. It's not easy to like communicate correctly, either proactively, as you say, no, don't staying there, but also like have good messages, and working as sync is hard. So communication is not something to be taken lightly, I think. It's not easy. But try your best and think how you would like to do it, and then you do it for others, right? Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. I have one more that you mentioned, mistakes. And I like it that you said that, because I think you should own your mistakes, but also if you're the front-end lead, you own the team's mistakes, right?
Yes.
Ultimately, you're responsible for the front-end implementation. You are the ultimate person that has to have the answers, right? Even if you then chase others down to get it, you are the point of contact for the client or project management, right? And if the team fails or something, it's also your failure. And it's never, I would never say, oh, no, just Chucho's fault. Chucho, get out of here.
That guy, terrible.
So in the end, it's us. There's no I in team, right? So definitely being able to say to the client, yeah, we messed up and here's the fix, or here's the estimated time to deliver a fix to production. You offer, of course, a solution as usual, right? Always find a solution, but owning it and saying, yeah, we all humans make mistakes, and especially in software development, man, it's
yes. Yeah. And it's I mean, I think it's the best approach to say, hey, I made a mistake, or a mistake was made. Yes, let's see how we can, and instead of pointing fingers. Let's see what we can do about it.
Yes.
I mean, I have a positive attitude in this regard. Don't point fingers. That's horrible, especially nowadays. I mean, with there's traces of who did what.
Yeah, it's everything locked in Git
yes.
and Slacks, emails. Everything is locked everywhere. The server. Yeah,
but it's not about that. You should. And this is something that I've learned. I remember I had a very hard lesson regarding this at one point, where I did a change in a code that I thought it was working. We didn't have QA. We was pushed to production, and then eventually I realized that it was not working. And I thought, what do I do? Should I just be quiet and hope that nobody notices? And no, eventually I went to my boss and said, hey, I made up a mistake. And I think it's a big mistake and it's going to cost and blah, blah. And the boss said, it's fine. Thank you for telling me. Because the sooner you tell me, the sooner we can do something about it and the less problematic it's going to be. So it is a very important lesson.
Yeah, as long as they're honest things, right? I mean, obviously nobody does mistakes by purpose, but you don't have to be sloppy as well. I mean, just follow the best practices, follow the processes, don't skip in line, don't try to push things into production without being tested, Chucho. So as long as you follow your things, and it's fine to make mistakes. I mean, software development is full of bugs everywhere. It's not like we're doctors where we have to one shot to save a life. So it's totally fine. And I'm with you. Just straight up, go to the person, say, hey, we're in a mistake, but here's the fix. I want to be deployed in the next release. It's all good. Okay.
Yeah. And as a lead, you think that you have to be perfect, and you do not have to be perfect. No. So if you make a mistake, don't think that people are going to think less of you. And if someone thinks less of you, that means that problem is with that person, because they don't understand that it doesn't make you less of a good developer.
Chucho, what else do you have for us?
The next goes precisely on the other way around. Just as you have to own your mistakes and come out forward with them, you should always acknowledge as well the victories. You should always acknowledge not take the victory, but you should acknowledge the person that has the what's it called, the logros, the
merit or the achievements,
the merit achievements. I've been in more than one, being as a lead, I've been in more than one meeting. They say, oh yeah, and this is working, blah, blah, Chucho did a fantastic job. And I was like, I didn't do it. It was this person that did it. I just wanted to clarify that this is the developer that made this possible. Thank you. And I always, and this is something that I've been practicing for some time now. It's like, if there's credit, give credit where credit's due.
Yes.
So even if they say congratulations to you because you're the representative of the team or you're the face or whatever, I always say thank you, but this is the person, this is the developer that did this. They are the one that need to get the praise. They need to know. If they're there, it's more important. It's like, it is you the one that did it. And if they're not there, you should go and say, hey, they liked it very much. Congratulations that you had. It was, we received very good feedback, and this is thanks to you. You should always credit people.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand with, giving kudos and also like saying, hey, you did a good job here. Like, it doesn't have to be solicited feedback, but rather you see a good pull request, because usually when you see a pull request or a code, you just comment on what's wrong. But should we or could we have a nice approach in saying, hey, I'm going to leave comments on things I like? I sometimes do that. I maybe leave an emoji in a line that says, oh, this is lovely, and it's a heart emoji, right? So it's nice. Like, why not? I mean, people need to know they're doing a good job, so you can foster this sort of behavior, continue doing it, right? So not just say we did wrong, but also,
Yeah, this kind of positive feedback, positive learning.
Reinforcement.
It's reinforcement. It is something that motivates people a lot.
Yep. I don't have anything else on my list. What about you?
There's only one thing that I would like to say, and this is something that we can finish this if you like, which is lead by example. And I think that this is something that I've learned not only as a lead. Okay, this is not means as a front end. No. As a developer, lead by example. Be the best version that you want of yourself, and people will follow, and people will acknowledge that. And you don't need to make a big effort; just be the best that you can be. And yeah,
exactly. Don't expect others to do something you wouldn't do, right? I mean, I think it's funny for any level. Like, okay, a lead you would say, I would never have to code these XML files. If you just do it, people say, oh, look at this guy. He's a front-end lead, and he's deep down in the trenches with us doing this ugly sort of coding because, he can do it. He has to do it, so it's all good. And also, as you said, any level of development, any level of careers, just do, people will follow. That's awesome. I like it. Way to end, Chucho. All right. We'll ask you, the listeners, thank you for listening, first of all, and then leave us some tips, tricks, lessons learned from your side, hard-earned or not hard-earned, learned. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. English. That's it. Leave us a comment. Chucho, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ricardo, and have a great day.
You too.
Bye.